Hi guys, thanks for joining us on our journey today, exploring a quieter part of Scotland, the remote but nonetheless stunning area of Dumfries and Galloway. First off is a visit to the coast, and as you can see from the sign, which clearly needs a good clean, we're heading down this beautiful autumnal glen to visit St Ninian's Cave. The glen we're happily trekking down is known as the Fizgill Glen, which is situated about 3 miles southwest of the town of Wigton. The walk itself is fairly easy going and only a mile or so from the main car park. Today, with winter fast approaching, the glen, although not showing off its best summer colours, is however still full of vibrant greens, with holly and ivy cloaking the many trees either side of the long winding path. The cave itself, although steeped in ancient Christian history, had a more recent role to play. It appeared in the 1970s horror movie The Wicker Man. So this is St Ninian's Cave apparently, down in the Wigton coast. It's not the biggest cave in the world, but apparently there's a lot of graffiti over it as usual. But they've done some archaeology here. You can see tons of it. And there's 18 old Celtic crosses dating back hundreds of years into the cave itself. But it's not the largest, as I say, but it's obviously got historical importance that they believe St Ninian came down here from Wigton Abbey, and this would be his little kind of go-to place, his wee chill-out room, I suppose you'd call it. You know, you see lots of people kind of leaving little rocks and messages all over the walls and things like that. Kind of Christian things. It's a cool spot as well. Not a bad place to hang out looking down onto the beach as well. And just up the coast, further up here, maybe a mile away, 2 miles away, you've got St Ninian's Chapel as well. So we'll take a wee visit up there in a bit and we'll have a look at that. So that's us drove along the coast a little bit after leaving St Ninian's Cave, and I'm just heading over here myself. Kirsty's back in the van with the heater on, keeping warm, so I'm just coming over to have a wee gander. We look at the St Ninian's Chapel, you know, dating back to the 400 ADs, I think it is. It's just over here. It's a very old chapel. It's situated, as you can see, right on the coast, by the water. And it's down on the southwest coast of Scotland, right on the coast, in the Isle of Wigton. So by the looks of it, this looks like it's, although St Ninian was around in the 300-400s AD, this is more a medieval chapel, maybe dating back to 1200-1300s. Pretty cool location, but looking right out to the water. So our plan now is, looks like the weather's coming in a little bit. So we're going to head up to the town of Wigton, get ourselves a wee coffee there and a wee chill out in a wee place we've been before. Well, welcome to Wigton. Lovely little place, been here a couple of times. What's unique about it is two things. It's a small town, but it's absolutely full of bookshops, as you can see here. I'll take you over here before we go for a coffee. You'll see we've got Foggy Todo books. We've got the bookshop in this place as well. Then up and down the street, there's got to be at least like half dozen, if not more, bookstores. New chapter books over there, the reading glasses over here. So we're just going to go and get ourselves something to eat and everything. It's one of those typical November days with the rains on and off. So we'll get ourselves a wee coffee and we'll show you historically what Wigton's famous for, with the Covenanter trials, I think they called it, where they drowned a couple of women who wouldn't sign the King's Form. I'll tell you more about that later, but first we're heading in here for a nice coffee and some soup. There's a cool wee bookstore and coffee shop. Just got to wait to be seated before we get something. Dog versus cat. Cat nervous. Hello, kitty cat. Hello. Hi folks, so just came out of the cafe there. We've had a nice coffee. The weather seems to be improving, the sun's came out, and we're taking a walk down through Wigton town, down to the shoreline in Martyr's Stake it's called. It's a rather interesting little bit of history. We're back in the 11th of May 1685. Two of the local women, known as Covenanters, were executed at the orders of King James VII. You had Margaret McLaughlin, aged 63, and a young friend, Margaret Wilson, aged 18. Now, the reason they were being executed was, back in these times, it was known as the killing times. And King James VII believed they had divine right over all his people, the country, and including the church, which the local Scots couldn't abide with. So back in the 1600s, they got together and signed a form called the Covenanters Form, which basically opposed King James VII and his Bible and the view that he was head of the church. To the Scots, only Jesus Christ could be head of the church. So to teach the locals a lesson and put down these rebellions that were quelling, they jailed two of these women, the two Margarets, for a month, and then they went to trial, and they were trying to actually get them to recant to teach everyone a lesson. So their theory was that they'd take them down where we were walking down to, and it's just a big bay where the tide goes in and out, and the theory was they'd tie them to stakes, the two Margarets, and as the tide came out, they'd start sort of coming in, they'd start drowning. And the theory was that once the older one, the 63-year-old woman, Margaret McLaughlin, who was old and dispensable in their eyes, drowned, the younger one, her bottle would crash and she would end up recanting and signing, sort of swearing loyalty to the king, but she never did, and both of them ended up dying, drowning, which wasn't a too popular move on the king's part and the king's dragoons. So they became martyrs, and they're actually just buried further up at the churchyards, which we'll take a wee peek at when we come further up as well. And the town's famous for that in this area, for their opposition to King James and his right to be head of the church in Scotland. So we'll head down, take a wee look, see where they were summarily executed. So that's us coming up to the martyr's stake where the two Margarets were tied in the mud flats waiting for the tide to come in. Nowadays, as you can see if I pan you round, the tide's been changed and a lot of this land's been reclaimed, but in the distance you'll be able to see in the footage the kind of sea and the rivers further over there, but that back in 1600s this whole area used to flood. You can see this marks the traditional site of the martyrdom where the two ladies were drowned. Worst places to go, I suppose. So we came up to the churchyard, just a few minutes up from the mud flats, and this is your graves of the two martyrs, Margaret McLaughlin, and over here and Margaret Wilson. And a wee memorial stone for them as well. So at least they get the best plot in the old Kirk graveyard. You can see a lot of it still remains intact. The kind of newer church down to the side, the older one in here. As it's about to start bucking it down, just get the puffer on, I think it's time to head up to the van, catch Kirsty and Barra up before the rain comes on heavy. After an enjoyable day exploring the stunning scenery of Dumfries and Galloway and all it has to offer, and the rain now coming on, we decided to head back to the cottage to enjoy the heat of a roaring fire and get ready for our next day's adventures. So we've had a lovely hours long drive from Borg to Rock Castle, I believe it's called. Took an hour, as I say, and one of those lovely cold mornings. It's shown sort of -1, was it, in the van?
Yeah.
But it's like the sun's out in the sky and it's all the fields are crisp and just one of those stunning mornings. And what's good about it being so cold is we've got the castle to ourselves. There's only one or two other cars here, you know. You can see it here. It looks quite a stunning castle. Quite unique in the sense it's surrounded by a moat. It's got 3 sort of curtain walls, as they like to call it, an economy of form. So we'll let you know a bit about it once we get inside the castle. We've got to show tickets now. So Rock Castle, if I'm pronouncing it right, is situated about 7 miles south of Dumfries, and it's based on the Scottish-English border, and it's based right on the Solway Firth, and it's I believe it was the Maxwell family first built the castle in the 1200s, and it's kind of got a triangular curtain wall defensive structure, and as you'll see in a second, it's quite impressive. It's totally surrounded by a moat right round it, as you can see, the nice frost. Yeah, so it was built in the 1200s, and it was obviously sieged by Edward Longshanks, the King of England, in the year 1300, around that sort of age, and they surrendered after 2 days because they had a full army with them. And again, I believe the Maxwell family held it right into the 17th century, and during the Covenanter Wars, the killing times, it was sieged again, and they held out for 13 weeks that time. But they then, as you can see straight ahead here, they pulled down the south wall apparently, so it can be used again as a castle, which is a shame, but stunning big castle. Very ornate, as you can see. Take it, this was the old castle well down there. So you can see here where the original wall, the south wall was. Tower still remaining, but there's a lot of work going on to the castle as well. After a really enjoyable visit to Caerlavelock Castle in all its splendour, framed magnificently by the beautiful Solway Firth, we headed back to the van to undergo the hour-long journey to our beautiful cottage in the village of Borg. And with that, unfortunately, an end to our 5-day trip to the amazingly stunning but quiet part of Scotland, Dumfries and Galloway. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.